March 20, 2021. I'm GTG, and this is Fenris. And it's Khonsu. That's Dorcas. Not sure where Brunhilde is. Zarita's under the bed. So, I'm going to tell the tale of yesterday. With little bitty Khonsu. So, what happened yesterday? Oh, it was about 9 or 10 in the morning. More like around 10, I guess. And I was working on the computer doing academic stuff. All of a sudden, I heard a big yowl coming from the kitchen and a struggle. And it was the yowling of an adult cat. And I was kind of taken aback for a moment. I waited a moment to see if it was just going to be a momentary thing, like, maybe Fenris here was humping one of the cats again. You like to hump cats. And it was like the yowl of "get off me." But it just went on and suddenly all the dogs were there. So I jumped up. So I jumped up. I think she's going to run away. So I jumped up and ran into the dining room. All the dogs had chased whatever was going on outside. I could hear them barking as they ran around the backyard and then to the side of the house. And I didn't know what was going on. The thing that reminded me at first was an incident that happened with baby Apophis when he was probably just a few weeks after I found him in the art storage room at Hartnell. When he was in the dining room, and there was a feral cat in the neighborhood that was bullying Anubis, the big white baby cat. But apparently this Anubis had come, or not Anubis, but this feral cat had come into the house and was attacking Apophis in the dining room. And I jumped up. I was alone. Dad was, I think, he was either in Las Vegas with Judy or with John, wherever John was at the time. So I jumped up, and as I ran, I deliberately stomped as hard as I could. And since this is a hardwood floor and it's all echoey underneath, it was like stomping on a drum. So the house was echoing with my stomps as I ran through the living room into the dining room, but he was gone, both of them. And I was convinced I didn't see, this is Apophis now, I didn't see Apophis, and he disappeared, and he was gone for several hours. And in the previous few years, I had periodically had when we only had Norman, who was a very old dog. He died at 18. His mother made it to 22, but at that time, both he and his mother were old dogs. I'd hear we'd had a lot of cats running through the backyard because both Norman and his mother were too old to be chasing cats, so they had kind of immunity. And occasionally I'd be sleeping in the bedroom and I'd hear the yowling of a little kitten. You can tell a yowling of a little kitten, and I think what was going on is that the big tomcats, with lack of food, because we weren't feeding the cats back then, were killing and eating kittens. And so I thought that was what had happened. I thought that this feral cat that was bullying Anubis had come in and attacked baby Apophis and carried him away and was eating him somewhere. Fortunately, a few hours later, Anubis or Apophis came back in the house, and he's still here, as you just saw a moment ago. So what I think happened now, and I went through a lot of wondering, did the dogs attack, the kitten? Because as the day went on, both Anubis and Ma'at, the current cats, came in, the older cats, and but Apophis or Khonsu did not come in. Didn't come in all day long. He didn't come in the evening. Ma'at was really acting odd for her. Differently, I should say. Not odd. She kept coming up to me and meowing, rubbing up against me. She kept looking in crevices and around things like she was looking for the little cat, and she was kept looking at me like, "Where's the little cat?" And at first Anubis or Apophis wasn't really doing much, but as the evening wore on, he was doing the same thing. I saw him at one point looking like poking his head back into a bookcase, behind the books in the bookcase. I've never seen him do that. So I think he was starting to wonder there towards the end of the day where little one was, little Khonsu. And I was really broken up because I thought for sure that something had happened to her. Now, I've seen Khonsu, at least a cat that looks like Khonsu, out in the front yard once. So she's able to get over through the fence. And I figured, if somehow I couldn't find her in the backyard, so she was either hidden or she'd gotten out of the yard when all the chasing was going on. I think maybe what happened was the dogs rescued her. Maybe a similar thing happened. A feral cat had either followed her into the house or came in the house, and the first thing he saw or it saw was her. Usually these are, I don't know if it'll be a male or female, but came in and saw Khonsu and attacked. The dogs heard and went and chased off the other cat. So, and one reason I think it might have been a feral cat was that Anubis still lives outside and he lives under the house. And in the last week, I've been hearing several times yowling like he's being picked on by another feral cat. And usually, if it's during the day, dogs run out and I guess chase it away. If it's night and the back door is closed, a couple of times I've woken up hearing the yowling at the side of the house, and I open the back door and let the dogs go out, and I guess again they chase away the cat. So the other cat. I don't think it was Anubis that attacked Khonsu. Anyway, Khonsu came back. It was about midnight, close to midnight. And here comes Khonsu again. And I looked over on the bed, and there she was. She was lying kind of in a heap. Her fur was kind of ragged, unkempt, like she hadn't slicked it down. And she's acting very listless. And when I touched her, she meowed. You're okay. Especially back around her back quarters there. I touch her there and she go, meow. So like something had happened, like she'd been bitten or scratched. I haven't been able to inspect her well enough to tell if there's any blood. Oh, she's purring. You can hear that. Yep, she's happy. Well, at least I hope she is. So, went and got some cat food and put it in a bowl. Well, kitten food left over from when she was a tiny kitten. Don't have much left, but I was feeding her. And she ate a little bit, not much. So it was about midnight. I ended up leaving her in the bed. I went and watched some videos. I'm working on something called the EdTPA, which is a test that I have to take for my teaching credential. And so I went in the living room and I watched a bunch of videos on how to do the EdTPA and a couple other things too. I won't lie and say it was all that. I did a couple fun videos. Guess about 2 or so I came back in. She's still laying in bed. Hadn't moved much. And I got in bed. Had to move her out of the way a little bit. And I went to bed, woke up this morning. I woke up about 9, got up, worked on the EdTPA some more. For a couple hours. Went back to sleep again, because I haven't slept much lately. Slept for a few more hours, woke up about 4:30, something like that. And I was working for a couple more hours, and so decided to take a break, because, the dogs and the cats, definitely if I've been sitting for a while, they're kind of like my alarm. They're like saying, hey, play with us, we're dogs, we're cats, you need to love us more. Said, I have to, but if I don't pass this, I won't be able to keep you. That's one of the things in my life. I have to decide how much can I play with the dogs and how much do I have to do my work. Especially when you've got these little cuddle heads here. A purring kitty and a flopping flopper. Yep, up. Sloppy dog. Up. Zarita just came in and went under the bed. For some reason, she spends a lot of time under the bed. I think in spite of her being by far the most massive of the dogs, she's the most bullied. I think she's just far too energetic for her siblings, and she's a big sloppy dog. So when she wants to play, she knocks other people around. Other people, other dogs. Well, dogs are people too. This little monster, he humps the cats. That's an alternate explanation, is he tried to hump the cat. Hump little one here. I don't think that's really what happened. I've seen him try to hump her a few times. You're a good dog. Okay. So, this week is going to be academically one of the greatest stresses of my academic career. Well, of the last few years anyway. So, I'll probably end up eating dinner, take a nap, and go back to work. So, that's all.